the next question. When I see the word philosophy, it seems something very boring to me, but I'm still gonna ask this question. Maybe you're gonna be able to, um, give some light and lighten up for us. So, what is your philosophy of practice?
Okay, that's just a question. Again, I wish I kind of wish I thought these more through. I'm like, let me just think about the cuff. But um, one thing that's really important to me is we do a job that's about people. At the end of the day, there's always an individual whose life is going to be changed. Coming to America or being forced not to come or have to leave America is a life and death situation. When I was graduating law school, I was thinking about moving away from America because when the economy was crashing, and I thought America was just going to hell in a handbasket, and it kind of has been since then, but not as bad as I thought it would be or as
Hey
fast.
guys, if you don't know, John had plans to, I think, move to Chile or something like that.
Yeah, I was looking at their immigration program. They had like a high-end worker kind of program. I was going to just get out of here, try something new. But then I started working at an immigration law firm just temporarily, just to make money. And then I saw like damn, like however bad it is here, it still sucks everywhere else. With all the stuff that we see how in the news of politics and like the stuff they say about America being the worst. Like, dude, I've been around the world. Like, we're talking about racism. It's like everywhere is much more racist than America. This is like nothing compared to how bad it is everywhere else.
It's always
Um,
good to compare. It's always good to compare because
Yeah, especially
uh,
immigration lawyers got us know like we have clients that are escaping like massively racist or bad situations. So whatever is here, it is much worse. That's a fact. I've just seen it. So and so uh, the philosophy is people's lives are at risk. Even when you do employment based cases, people are investing or their lives. They have kids here, or they already have kids here, and they have an extension. If it doesn't work, they got to move, and the kids may be 10 or 15 their whole life. They can't see it. So it's really personal. So I always thought I want to have a practice personal. And frankly, if people listen to this podcast are in this vein, our listeners, it's like we want to give a different experience. It's not about the volume of people that just come in and out and not care about them. And so I always took an old fashioned kind of doctor that comes to your house and takes a look at you and knows the family and knows all the details. That's a right way to practice. Inevitably, there are companies that need, need to file 500 H-1Bs. And so you're going to lose touch with clients. So there is a need for that. But for a lot of stuff, especially marriage cases, I see too much nonsense where lawyers and law firms don't even know who the clients are. They just fill out the paperwork. It's like they don't even know who the people are doing. And it gets worse than that because I'm not knowing them. There's no attention to them. There's too many errors in the application. There's always going to be errors because the forms are so bad, and so long. But this philosophy is that these are person's lives. We're doctors doing surgery, and you got to give it all. And you see, there's doctors sometimes. This is where I got it from. Where I'd go to doctors and they were just doing numbers. There was a top dermatologist who's here in Century City in LA who I'd go to. And as I was going there as a kid growing up, his practice got bigger and bigger. He got more famous to a point that like when I'd walk in, he would just wave to me, an assistant would do everything, and I'd get a bill from a doctor. And it was so impersonal. When he'd come in, he was like, looking up, looking at his phone kind of thing. I'm like, this is disgusting. I don't want to come to this guy anymore, even though he's considered one of the best, yada, yada, yada. And so I'm like, whatever I do, and this was when I was a kid, when I was like in college, I was like, whatever I'm doing, I'm gonna make sure it's gonna be personal attention, and I'm gonna stay up on the rule on what's going on. So many doctors, I'm reading this book that was saying like every 18 months, everything you learn in medical school it's not valid anymore because things change so dramatically. And we see this in lawyers too. I did not stay on top of the law. So the aspect was even turn down cases if I don't have time because I need to keep up on the law. That's a big part of the podcast too, where I share the things I learned and stuff. There's too much to learn. If you're not doing that, then you're failing. You're not being the advocate that you need to be. And that's why I have this, we're going to probably have a question about this, but they have this podcast and we have like listeners that this is what they have. You yourself as a listener, you want to take things to the next level. You just don't want to do the bare minimum. And that's the difference between a okay, good to a great immigration lawyer is wanting to take it to the next level, both on the personal experience and then both on understanding of the legal implications and laws that change. And so hopefully the toolbox provides us helps on that ground. And that's what our listeners are all about.